Hey guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I got cash to give away. So thank you. Okay. I am not above bribing people to like me. I am not.
Well, I love you.
I love you too, man. Very much. Big round of applause for the founders of Big Block Realty. I'm so impressed with you guys, so impressed with what you've done. You know, we were talking about all that happened during these last odd years, these couple of years that were so strange. And just to watch you thrive and to see you inspire people and get the best out of people in the worst of times has been magical for me to watch. So great stuff. I'm going to be with you for about 90 minutes. I want to give you as much as I possibly can. I want these 90 minutes to change your life forever. I know that's not a low promise. It's a big promise from me that I want you, selfishly, I want you to look back on this time and say, those days in Palm Springs, that 90 minutes shifted my entire world. To do that, though, yeah, I like enthusiasm. I like energy. So I've got a big question, a few of them actually. Who here wants more money? Put your hand up, say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Keep them up for a second. If your hand is not up, please tell me what you're doing. I'll be your best student, guaranteed. By a show of hands, who in this room would love to lose a pound or two? Put your hand up and say, oh yeah. Yeah, right. If you're having a hard time getting that heavy sucker in the air, have the person beside you help you lift it up. By a show of hands, do we have anybody in this room that would like to become a non-smoker this afternoon? Get done with it forever. Put them real higher. Just hack. I'll find you. I'll find you. By a show of hands, do we have anybody in this room that would like more passion in their personal, intimate relationship? Put your hand way high. Say, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. If you came here with somebody, they put their hand up, you did not, you should be paying attention. His hand didn't go up right away, hers did. Oh, okay. Take a note, sir. Take a note. Who here is single and would love to create an awesome, passionate relationship? Put them up and say, oh yeah. Keep them up for a second. Look around the room. See if there's anything you might be interested in. Dude, I don't know why you put your hand down. You were the only man in the room with his hand up. Looked like good pickings to me, man. Good pickings. You know, in the previous section, right before Oliver started speaking, Sam was talking and he said, I sell things. I sell things. It's good for me, it's good for you, it's good for the entire economy, everybody wins. Who here believes this afternoon I may try to sell you something? I will not let you down. I will not. In fact, I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm going to sell you something. I often get booked to do events like this, and one of the first things they say is, don't sell anything to my people. And I always think that's so ridiculous, and I'll tell you why that's ridiculous. We're salespeople. We sell things. And to tell a salesperson not to sell things or to make it in any kind of a bad light is just bad programming. It's bad for the economy, it's bad for you, it's bad for everybody. Now, I also am going to be giving away literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in free gifts and cash, depending on the enthusiasm level of this room. So who likes free stuff? Put your hand up. By the way, if your hand did not go up and you win something from me, I promise you I will not give it to you. No, I mean it. If this is too much energy for you to put out on your own behalf, your life is already guaranteed to suck. Guaranteed to suck. How many of you want to get as much as you possibly can out of our time together? I want that too. I want you to take as many notes as possible. And the first note I want you to take are these words. Take action now. When? Now. Tomorrow never comes. How many of you are older than you thought you would be at this point in your life? Who understands what I'm asking? How many of you thought you'd be further along in your process? Maybe you'd have more money. Maybe you'd be more fulfilled, be happier. One of the things that I know is as you saw, I've got 3 babies. I was married twice before my one true wife, and I'm glad that I was the decision I ever made. All 3 of my babies, as you saw from the sizzle reel, were born at home via hypnosis, no drugs, no doctors, no pain. A lot of people would say they were conceived via hypnosis, and I wouldn't really argue with them on that. One of the things that I know for sure, though, is that you don't really know what you don't know. I don't, frankly, recall you coming to my house. I apologize. I've had a lot of people come to the house, and you were going to tell a story before you came out here. I didn't remember that you were there. My first house was a home in Michigan. I'm from Michigan. I have 10 siblings. My first home had no running water, had no electricity, had no phone. Often we had little, sometimes no food. Twice we were homeless. My family was about to die in a cold Michigan winter when the local community got together and said, we need to give you a place to live. and they refurbished the chicken coop. And we lived in the chicken coop for 4 years. It was heaven to me. Had running water, had electricity, no adverse side effects. These days, based upon what I'm about to teach you, my life is very different. These days, my main residence is a 17,000 square foot home in Las Vegas. Feels like 100,000 sometimes. People often walk through the front door and say, yes, I think I may have been to this hotel before. I often watch MTV Cribs and I feel really bad for those poor little rock stars. How many of you think you might want a 17,000 square foot home? I say be very careful what you ask for. My wife and I, we lived there for 6 months before we found a bathroom we didn't even know we had. I like Vegas a lot. I like it for so many reasons. It gets hot in Vegas though, and I do not like hot. I don't like extremes. My second home is on the beach down in North County, San Diego. I know a lot of you are from Southern Cal. A little place called Carlsbad, right on the ocean. How many of you think if this was the view out your back window every single evening, you might be inspired to produce at a slightly higher level? Put your hand way high, say, oh yeah. By the way, I want you to take as many notes as possible. And the more notes you take, the smarter you'll get. The smarter you get, the more money you will make. The more money you make, the better looking you become. Trust me on this one. So take lots of notes. Oftentimes I'll see a couple at an event, and usually it's her that's taking lots of notes, just like right now, and then he sits there and he kind of grunts a little bit. And I'm fairly certain that last one's gas, except the thing that I know, that if she takes notes and you don't, she'll get smarter, she'll get richer, she'll get better looking, and she won't need you. So you want to take notes. You do. You want to take notes. I made a movie a couple of years ago, right before everything locked down. We're about to release the movie. The movie is called Tranced. It's a movie that while you watch it, it actually hypnotizes you to experience what the lead character on the screen is experiencing. It's about a young unwed mother and her search for meaning in her life. So when she feels hot, you feel hot. When she feels cold, you cuddle up against your date. When she has an orgasm, you have an orgasm. We think people are going to come. We think people are going to come repeatedly. We do. Let's make it all about you two then, that's for sure. You see, the first thing people think about hypnosis is they're afraid of it. They're afraid of that process. What people don't realize, it's not difficult to hypnotize people. It's hard to bring them out of the trance they're already in. The one that limits their ability to produce, the one that stops them from feeling fulfilled and getting everything that they want. In the movie, I executive produced the movie for $2 million. I wrote the movie, I starred in the movie, and the lead character is a young woman searching for meaning in her life. The hero is a guy named Sterling Wins, a philanthropist billionaire. When I was developing the character for Sterling, I thought, gosh, where would this guy live? And I found a 25,000 square foot home up in the Hollywood Hills that was built for the Sultan of Brunei. And the moment I saw the house, I said, yeah, he'd live here. And then I thought, what kind of a car would he drive or be driven in? Now, I counsel a lot of very successful people, millionaires, even billionaires. And one of the things that I've discovered is that most successful people are a bit control freakish. It's not that we want to control everything, we just want things to be right. And so when I was thinking about him, I thought he would probably drive himself, and he would probably drive, the moment I saw the car, I knew it was the right one, the Rolls-Royce Phantom. Now, I personally wouldn't be caught dead in a $450,000 automobile. My own personal belief is any guy that needs a $450,000 automobile to get from point A to point B, he's making up for a shortcoming elsewhere, so I swear I wouldn't do it. In order to make the movie, though, I had to lease the car for 10 days. So I leased the car. The first day I'm in the car, it feels like a boat. I'm thinking, why would anybody want this? The second day I'm in the car, it starts to feel a little bit better. Third day I'm in the car, I pull up to a stoplight, and beside me pulls up a car filled with very beautiful young women. And I notice that they're attempting to get my attention. And I'm sitting in the Rolls and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I bet you think the car looks pretty good too. I bet you do. Woman in the back seat rolls her window down, motions for me to roll my window down. I roll my window down, and she says, excuse me, but do you have any Grey Poupon? If you're laughing, you're at least 40 years old. Next day, I went out and bought a brand new Rolls-Royce Phantom. Now, how many of you still think nobody needs a $450,000 automobile to get from point A to point B? Then you've never driven in one. I want you to write this down. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind once expanded cannot contract. Once you learn new truths, you cannot go back to those old beliefs that you held. Here's what I want you to write down there. I want you to write down, a wallet once expanded will never contract. Once you start living a bigger life, Once you start experiencing life more fully, you won't want to go back. You'll do whatever you need to do to make that life experience operate at a higher level. One of the reasons that Oliver and Sam invited me to get here with you was something that I call turning up the wantingness. What is turning up the wantingness? It's getting your mojo back. It's getting your motivation back. Part of the challenge for you, and if you run a team for your team, is the idea that they're happy. Maybe they're making a couple $100,000 a year. They're complacent. How do you get somebody who's already happy to want to produce more? You got to give them a taste of a bigger life. It's the only way you can do it. I want you to write down a question. Write it down first person. What is the highest and best use of my time? What is the highest and best use of my time? Abraham Lincoln said, if you have an hour to chop down a tree, spend 40 minutes sharpening that axe. Now, you can chop down a tree with a dull axe. You can whack away at that tree, and eventually it'll fall. The challenge is it'll take you the entire hour, and by the time you're done, your hands will be blistered and bloodied. Yet if you sit back and you sharpen that axe, while everybody else is out there whacking away, what happens is at minute 40, you get up there with a sharp axe and you take one swing, one fell swoop, whoosh, that tree falls. Next swing, new tree, that tree falls. 20 minutes later, 20 trees down, your hands are fine. You are the axe. I'm the grinding wheel. One of the things that I know is that when you ask yourself this question, what's the higher and better use of my time? You avoid MWAs. How many of you take out your own trash at home? How many of you pick up your own dry cleaning? Gas up your own car? Make your own meals, not because you love cooking, just because that's what you do. You're doing minimum wage activities. And as long as you fill up enough of your time with minimum wage activities, you cannot be wealthy. The key for you and for your team is to figure out what are those, write this down, IGAs. What are those income generating activities that you need to focus on? You stay focused on high income generating activities, you'll produce high income. You get stuck in paperwork, you get stuck in all the little things that little people get stuck in, you will never be successful. My home in San Diego is in Carlsbad. Carlsbad is about halfway, for those of you that know, between John Wayne Airport to the north and San Diego International to the south. To take a flight, and I travel a lot, to take a flight I've got to get in the car, and I've got to allot for at least 90 minutes just to get to the airport, just in case there's traffic. I allot for 90 minutes, I get to the airport. When I get to the airport, I've got to park the car in long-term parking. I've got to jump on a shuttle, that adds at least another 30 minutes to the trip. I've got to get to the airport, and when I get to the airport, I've got to allow at least 90 minutes to get through TSA, through security. If I'm drinking a bottle of water, they take the bottle of water from me, or they tell me to drink it. They say that may be a bomb. I'm thinking to myself, hold it. If this is a bomb and I drink it, wouldn't that make me the bomb? Which I thought I already was, by the way. If you take this from me, though, they're going to throw it in a bin with a bunch of other bottles just like that one. And I'm thinking, I'm no expert on explosives, except if this could possibly be an explosive, you don't want to store it with those other explosives. You get on the plane, and these days, it's nuts on a commercial flight. You got Nazis running the plane, making you pull your mask up. You know, if you're not eating, you got to have your mask up, but if you pull it down, you can eat. And you watch people eat Pringles for 30 minutes. There's one chip for 30 minutes. You get off the plane, you go over to bag claim, you got to stand there. They won't put one bag on the carousel until every single bag is unloaded. You're going to be there about another 30 minutes. It's going to be an extra 4 hours of time one way. 8 hours of time round trip. It's enough to make a man want to shave his head, guaranteed. I see a couple of you fly commercially still. You do too. I get that. One of the things I know is that I bought my home in Carlsbad because it's right beside a place called Palomar Airport. Exactly 11 minutes from my front door, there is an airport that flies private jets. I get in my car, I drive to the airport. I don't park in long-term parking. In fact, I don't park at all. I pull right up to the jet. I get on the plane. I've never missed a flight because it always waits for me. When I get on the plane, they park my car, and within 15 minutes of leaving my front door, I am airborne. Favorite beverage in hand, depending on time of day. When I land, same thing, car pulls up to the jet. I get out of the jet, I get in the car, I'm off to my destination. This is the look of a man who has not flown commercially in about the last 10 years. This is the look of a man whose tray table was down on takeoff and freaking landing. I don't show you my palace and my beach house and my Rolls Royce and my private jet travel to impress you with me. Spend 15 minutes with me, it'll be evident I'm already impressed with myself. Here's my point in all of this. I am an ordinary man. I'm not exceptional in any way. I'm not smarter than anyone in this room. In fact, I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school because my mother was working 3 jobs, killing herself, and I knew that I needed to contribute. So at 10 years old, I started working full time. I don't work harder. I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore. In fact, I retired a number of years ago when my babies were being born so that I could just live my life. The thing is, I love this. This is what I do even when I don't need the money. I'm not more creative. I'm not better let's go that far. I'm not smarter. And I'm not more humble. And this is a big piece for all of you. It was a glorious day for fools when modesty became a virtue. Humility is not a desirable personality trait. So many times, though, your folks, as you were growing up, probably programmed your brain and said, don't show off in front of the other kids. Don't try to pretend you're better than they are. Well, what if you are? What if you always were? And you keep hiding your light under a bushel so other people don't feel bad about themselves. I say, stop that. I say, do good yourself and then lift them up, the ones that want to be lifted up, except do not pretend you're less than they are. There's a distinction between cockiness and confidence. Confidence allows for greatness in other people. You're all that I am and more is the expression. I haven't even gotten started, so I'm positive of that. You saw in the sizzle reel, Sam mentioned it before, I'm an entertainer. I have headlined on the main stage of just about every major hotel and casino in Las Vegas, my hometown. I have been on numerous television shows, I've had a lot of fun. I'm going to give you a really simple formula that will set you apart. It's called 3 E's. The first E is entertain. You've got to get their attention. You want to figure out how to be the big personality in the room. Now, clearly, Sam and Oliver, they get that. They understand what it means to be bold. And by the way, write this down. Boldness is rewarded. That was with an O, not an A, boldness. Although baldness is rewarded too, apparently. You've got to entertain people. You've got to capture their attention. You want to be the realtor that comes to the forefront of anybody's mind when they're thinking about buying or selling a property. It's that big personality that does that. It's that attorney inside of a given market that has all the billboards, that's always, volunteering their time, always being front of mind. The second E is it's not enough to entertain people. You've got to educate them. What do I mean by that? They need to know that you know your stuff. All things being equal, they're going to want to do business with the person that gives them the greatest amount of certainty. So you've got to know your stuff, which means we've got to start working on your internal programming, which I'll talk about in a moment. The third E, and this is where most people miss, you've got to be able to empower them to make a decision and take an action. Every thought holds a physical response. Write it down. It's imperative to your success as a realtor, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Every thought has a physical response. By the way, should I say something and you want me to repeat it, just think to yourself, please repeat that. I'm telepathetic, I'll repeat it. Apparently, most of my jokes are just for me. Thank you. Every single thought has a physical response. It's impossible for you to hold a truth without having that truth be telegraphed to the people you communicate with. Write this down. The majority of your programming was done by the time you were 7 years old. You are the person that you were when you were 7, just magnified. Your parents are the first hypnotists you encounter. The authority figures that told you what is and what isn't, what you can be, what you can do, what you can have. What if you took a child from the time it was born until it was 7 years old, and you said to that child, you dirty, rotten, good for nothing. You will never amount to anything. You were a mistake. We wish we never had you. You're going to be a criminal. You're going to be a drug addict. You're going to end up in prison or dead. The world is not better because you're here. We wish you'd never been born. Can you feel it? There's no kid here. Yet half a dozen of you just triggered. A half a dozen of you either had that experience or had family members that had that experience growing up. I know there's at least one of you, or one of us rather, in this room that had that experience. It's me. My father was a mean old man. I called my father on the phone after he and my mother divorced. First words out of his mouth, you little SOB, why are you calling me? Last words out of his mouth, you little MFer, don't ever call me again. And he didn't use acronyms. My father died at 68 years old, a very angry, lonely alcoholic. And I guarantee you it wasn't the alcohol that killed him. It was the anger. It was all those programs, all that resentment. It took me a lot of work to overcome those programs. It took me a lot of understanding of what I'm going to teach you right now and what I will seek to teach you for a lifetime, because my desire is that this would be the beginning of a lifetime relationship. It took me a lot to get over that and finally realize, write this down, for any of you that have dealt with that or know people that have dealt with that, it took me a long time to realize this simple phrase: hurt people hurt people. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with him. Write this down. It's not can I, it's how do I for all things. Not can I make this my first million or my best millions year. How do I? Write this down. Money is math. Money is math. Velocity as it pertains to your wealth is the speed and frequency in which money changes hands. I'll repeat it. Velocity as it pertains to your wealth is the speed and frequency in which money changes hands. Imagine I'm at my house in Vegas. My family's at the beach house. I'm supposed to fly back on Monday morning. I get done with my work at about 5 o'clock on Sunday, and I don't want to wake up my pilot. I say, no, I'll drive. I'm going to jump on the rolls. I'm going to drive to Southern California. Vegas to Carlsbad, for me, is about a 4-hour drive. I drive pretty. I don't mind the drive. It's okay. So I jump in the rolls, and I start driving back. Unbeknownst to me, it's EDC weekend. Apparently, you know. It's Electric Daisy Carnival weekend. And it is bumper-to-bumper traffic from Vegas to Southern California, and everybody in every other car around me has these neon necklaces and furry hats, and it's hard to really tell because you can't really see into their car for all the smoke bellowing out the windows. And so I'm bumper-to-bumper crawling through traffic, attempting to get back to my home so I can see my family. We're 6 hours into the trip. It's 11 p.m. at night, and I still got at least another 2 hours to go. I'm getting tired. And I realize I either need to pull over and get a cup of coffee, or I need to get a motel room and get some rest, because I'm not going to make the entire trip. Plus, I think I caught a contact high. So I pull over in this little flea bite town, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and there's not much there. There's a motel there, which really isn't a motel, because the sign, the letter M, is burned out. So it's actually just an hotel. It's an hotel. There is a gas station, automotive repair shop there. There's a bar and restaurant, a grocery store. That's all that's there. So I pull into the parking lot. There's no other cars in the parking lot. And I walk into the motel and I say, hello, how much to stay at your place tonight? And the guy behind the counter says it's $100. I look around at him. I said, you got to be kidding me. He says, we're the only game in town. And he starts to sound and look a lot like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. So I'm a little bit concerned. I said, okay, $100, I got it. Tell you what, I'm going to put $100 on the counter. I'm just going to put it down on the counter. I want to go check the room out first before I decide to stay here. Let me check out the room. If I like it, I'll stay, keep my money. If I don't like it, I'll come back, get a cup of coffee, be on my way. I walk to go to the room. I don't get out of eye shot. When he reaches down, grabs my $100 off the counter, races across the street to the bar, slams the $100 bill on the bar top, and says to the guy behind the bar, he says, hey, bud, this should take care of my bar tab. Bud picks up the $100 bills, hands it across the bar to a gentleman that's there drinking. He says, hey, Andy, this should take care of the tab I have at your grocery store. Andy grabs the money, hands it to his drinking buddy, Rod. He says, hey, Rod, this should take care of the repairs you made on my car. Rod takes the money, gives a wink to the woman at the end of the bar and says, you know what this is for, and he gives her the money. She races across the street back to the motel, puts it on the counter, and says to her boyfriend who owns the motel, honey, I'd like to pay you back the money that I borrowed from you. I decide not to stay. I come back out of the room, I pick up my $100, and I go get my cup of coffee, I'm on my way. My question to you is, were those debts paid in full? They were. Part of the challenge for people in making money is they hold on too tightly to their money. They don't spend their money. Especially as salespeople go, you've got to lose that. That which we fear, we project. Those that are afraid to buy project that fear when selling. I know the real reason. Out of the super achievers that are in this room, because you certainly are, you're the best of the best. You're the top of Big Block. I know the reason only 5 people total put their hand up when I said I'm going to bring somebody forward is because I said I was going to sell them something. And immediately that subconscious program went off in most people's heads and said, no, don't sell me anything. You telegraph that when you go into the real world. You telegraph that when you communicate. You talk to a kid that way from the time they're born till they're 7, you're an amazing child. Everything you touch will turn to silver. You're going to change people's lives. That kid grows up differently. I know because I'm that kid too. You see, my mother was the opposite of my father. Probably the reason they didn't stay together. My mother used to always build me up and say, Marshall, you're going to be rich. You're going to be famous. And then you're going to take care of me. Of all the things in my life that I'm proud of, I'm very proud of my children. I'm very proud of these human beings. The other thing I'm most proud of is I was with my mother the day that she opened up her first Social Security check at 65 years old. I watched her cry. I watched the realization that she wasn't going to survive. Nobody can survive on that. And that she was going to have to work until she dropped dead. When I saw my mother crying, I said, don't worry about it, Mom. You'll never have to work another day in your life. I will provide for you. I will take care of you forever. And all the things in my life that I have done, the one thing I'm most proud of is that from the time my mother got that check at 65 till she passed at 85, I took complete and total financial care of her, gave her a life that she could have never imagined otherwise. So my question to you, if not for you, how many of you have people that you really love that you would like to give a better life experience to? How many of you would love, I have 3 babies, and I know Sam flies privately most of the time too. I know with kids, I can't even imagine how hard it is to fly commercially these days. I mean, just getting them through security, walking so long through the airport, it's crazy. Now that I have your attention, I say to you, good afternoon. Usually in California, they reply, good afternoon, and you say, what country are we in? My God. I say, who here would like to eat fire? Same volunteers, exactly. 18 inches of mouth-searing, teeth-melting, permanently scarring flame. Here we go, watch. Wait for it, wait for it. Well, hell, they didn't say good afternoon. They're not going to clap either. No. I'm okay, I'll earn it. I didn't come here to teach you manners, for God's sake. I came here to help you make money. The rich do get richer, though, by the way, just a point of note. Why in the world would a man who's going to show me how to make more money in my business this year begin his presentation by eating fire? I know the single emotion that inhibited the majority of you from volunteering to eat fire is the single emotion that stops you from making money. What emotion would that be? Fear? Yeah, of course. Fear of what? Yeah, fear of failure. Fear of melting your teeth right out of your mouth. Fear of burning your face right off your head. Fear that maybe I had a full head of hair when I started doing this stuff. Which I did, by the way. Fear rears its ugly head in a lot of different ways. Sometimes fear looks like procrastination. I'm going to learn about selling tomorrow. I'm going to become better at my language patterns someday. Sometimes fear looks like being complacent. You're already making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and you say, oh, this is enough. Ugh. Sometimes fear looks like being catatonic. You know exactly what you need to do, and you just cannot get yourself to do it on a consistent basis. Who here wants to lose a pound or 2? Put those fat little arms up. I can joke about it. I had open heart surgery in February, and right after all of this being locked down for so long, on top of that, I gained a lot of weight. Taking the back off as I speak, so I can joke about it. I'm in the process. I want to give you the process that I've used already to drop 25 pounds off since my surgery. For those of you that want to lose weight, write this down. It's an exact formula. You got to write it down exact. Here's the formula. Eat less, move more. Some of you fatties aren't even writing it down. It's duh. Who here wants to become a non-smoker? Write this down. Quit putting it in your mouth and lighting it. You stopped halfway through the first word. Except how many of you have ever smoked? How many of you have ever smoked and stopped? It was one day, wasn't it? We just put it out. We said, this is the last one. I'm done. I used to smoke cigars. I used to smoke 3 cigars a day. I used to smoke pot in my teen years and early 20s. And one day on each of those habits, I just said, I'm done. It's not me. So the question I have for you is, who were you on the day that you were born? Were you a pauper struggling to make $1 million, or were you a millionaire whose money had not yet been deposited in your bank account? Because when you determine who you are, guess what? It determines what you do. It's that simple. When you're a millionaire, you don't get caught up stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. You don't argue with your phone company because they overcharged you $10 and have that argument take 2 hours because that's $5 an hour. You say, no, I'm either going to get over it and make more money, or I'm going to change carriers if it really bothers me that much. Except you don't waste your time on stupid stuff. There's 3 things you need to create anything you want in your life. 3 things you need. Go ahead. Number 1, self-mastery. What is self-mastery? Total control of your thoughts and emotions. They're yours. You choose. I'm going to tell you about an event called Turning Point. Write this down. Money cures most things. It just does. The only control our government has over anybody, or any government has over any citizen, is money. When you don't need their health care, they cannot control your health. When you don't need their supplement, they don't control you. Money cures most things. So if all I did this afternoon was inspired you to get that area massively handled, beyond imagination, I would know that I've done my job. Part of my desire is to help you understand this simple truth. Write it down. Communication equals wealth. The better you communicate, the more money you'll make. I'm a poor farm boy. I am. I'm not that bright. I'm really not. Except nobody convinced me that I couldn't also be a multimillionaire or even billionaire. The thing for me, starting off as a young man, I was a magician, and magic has a way of causing you to be extremely empathetic, of looking at the world through somebody else's eyes and understanding what it would appear to them to be. Now, I myself am not a realtor. If I was a realtor, I'd have a completely different approach to it. Much like what Sam was talking about, I'd focus on my brand. I would focus on being the biggest brand first in that market, then in a bigger market, then in a bigger market. I'd be the guy you would think about whenever you were thinking about buying or selling a piece of property. Part of what I would do, though, is understand I cannot get there unless I understand communication equals wealth. You communicate in just 2 ways. First, you communicate internally. 1,500 words per minute going through your brain, telling you who you are and who you aren't, what you can be, what you can do, what you can have. The other form of communication is outward communication. It's called influence. And I'm going to give you a definition of influence that's going to make you tingle. Irresistible influence is not getting someone else to say yes or even buy from you. Write this down. Irresistible influence is getting someone else to beg you for what you're selling. I'll say it again. Irresistible influence is getting somebody else to beg you for what you're selling, and that's not even the part that's going to make you tingle. And have them believe it was their idea. Imagine being so good at what you do that you could stand in front of a room of 80,000, doesn't matter, sales professionals, people who get it, and make a bold statement. Say, I could take any one of you in this room, bring you up front, using the language patterns, the communication techniques that you are going to learn when you attend Turning Point, and I can sell anyone, anything, at any time. How many of you think that's a bold statement for a salesperson to make? How many of you, though, would love to have that set of skill and also that sense of certainty as you influence other people? Put your hand high. Because if enough hands go up, I'll talk about it some more. Not enough hands went up. How many of you want to learn that? Put them way high, say, oh yeah. See, part of the challenge for you as a salesperson is too many people think sales is a service industry. It's not. Write this down. Be the authority. People of authority, we don't ask. We tell. Your doctor doesn't say, gee, what do you think? What kind of a treatment would you like to do? Your doctor says, this is your treatment plan. Do this. As a parent, I'm strict. I am strict. And when I ask my children, do you know why I'm strict? You know what they say? Because you love us. Are you okay with me being this strict? Absolutely, Daddy. You love us. And they mean it. I want my children to know write this down, there's no right or wrong. There's a consequence, though. It's not wrong to weigh 400 pounds. There's a consequence. Your heart's going to give out. It's not wrong to smoke. I smoked for a long time. I get it. The challenge is, we both know it's bad for you. At one point, your brain will say, I am a non-smoker. That's who I am. And when your brain says that, the desire just goes away. It's just not there anymore. There's a point where you say to yourself, I am a millionaire, In fact, today we could bring my cash out, we could set it up in front of you, and I could show you the millions of dollars and give you the validation. Write this down. Reality is created by validation. I could give you the validation. On the day that I was born, I was the same guy that I am today, so if I could stack up the millions of dollars there today, on the day I was born, I guess I was a millionaire whose money had not yet been deposited in my bank account. And that's the reason I asked you, who were you on the day you were born? When you grasp that, when you get that, you start letting go of stuff. You say, okay, a millionaire doesn't waste their time on this. A billionaire doesn't focus on those things. You know, one of the things that Sam and I have talked about, and certainly I talked about on the podcast with Oliver, we were talking about, you know, how do you go from what I call a pauper, somebody not making $1 million per year net joyfully, to millionaire? And then how do you go from millionaire to billionaire? And ironically, the things that get you to be a millionaire won't allow you to be a billionaire. So it's not just about what you need to do, it's about what you need to stop doing. Write this down. What you focus on expands. What you focus on expands. You focus on lack, you find more lack. You focus on no business is happening right now, no business is going to happen. One of the things I love about Big Block is their culture. One of the things I love is that you guys are massive about mindset, about communication, about learning skills. I charge $60,000 to work one-on-one with an individual. I'm going to bring somebody up here in a moment. I'm going to reprogram their brain. I'm going to give them 10 times the level of confidence they had before we met. When they leave our time together, they're going to walk out of here more empowered than anyone in the room. They're going to be literally a sales machine in their brain and in their bank account. They're going to have the best year they've ever had, bar none. Not just my guarantee, it's a fact. I'm going to give that one-on-one session away to that person totally free. Everybody who does not volunteer to do that session is going to wish they had later. That one person will get more than anyone in the room who wants to be that one person. Put your hand way high. Keep them up for a second. Keep them up for a second. Just keep them up. Look around the room. Same offer, same house, different frame, different perspective, different understanding. You can drop your hands down now. Different understanding of what that value is. I'm going to meet a couple of people I have not met. I just want to say hello to you. So if I've not met you or shook your hand, put your hand up. I just want to say hi. Hi, I'm Marshall, and you are?
Arlene.
Hi, Arlene. Nice to meet you. Hello, I am Marshall Silver, and you are?
Cody Newman.
Cody Newman. Drop your hands down. Do you guys notice a distinction in those communications? What was the distinction? Yes, I gave just my first name to Arlene. What'd she give back? First name. I gave first and last name to Cody. Even though he hesitated, his brain farted a bit there. It didn't stop, though. He gave the last name back with just a pause on my part, some certainty on my part, some confidence on my part, not worried on my part. I let it evolve. Write this down. If people say no to you a lot, it's because you're fun to say no to. That's all it is. You want to be somebody that's fun to say yes to. What you believe to be true is true for you, nothing else. I retired a few years ago. I was done. I've ticked off everything on my bucket list. I've produced movies, written books. I've got more house than I could ever need. I've got more cars than I have garages. There's nothing I want. All I want to do is be with my wife and my children. That's all I want. And then one day I realized that that was very selfish of me and that there are people that need this information, which is the reason I decided to come back out of retirement and decided to keep teaching people. What you believe to be true is true for you. What you focus on expands. And reality is created by validation. I can take any one of you in this room and within 12 months make this your first million or your best millions year. Who wants to be that one person? Put them up for a second. Keep them up for a second. If your hand isn't up, I promise you I won't pick you. And this is not just me being funny or being coy or whatever it is. If this is too much energy, you're not moldable talent. If you're not willing to put yourself out there a little bit, you're never going to get what you want the way that you want it, I promise you. That's ego stepping in. Drop your hands down. Easy for you to say, rich hypno boy. I get it. We were dirt poor. I used to resent people with wealth. I won't drive the Rolls Royce unless there is valet parking because I don't want to come back out of the restaurant with a key up the side of my car. When I drive the Rolls Royce, 8 out of 10 people pull up beside me and give me a thumbs up, say, nice car. Number 9 flips me off. Number 10 pulls up beside me and motions for me to roll the window down and says, sir, whatever you're doing, please, could you teach me? Don't be a number 9, be a number 10. By the way, a number 9 pulled up to me one day and he pulls up beside the rolls. And I can tell he's a 9 by the fact that his blood vessels look like they're about to burst in his head. And he's screaming at me, ranting and roaring. And I pulled the window down. I said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" He said, "How many, you selfish son of a bitch, how many people do you think could have eaten with the money you spent on that car?" I always hear what I want to hear. And so what I heard was, "How many people do you think are eating because you bought that car?" And I said, "Well, the guy I bought it from, I know he got a commission, and it was a big fat commission, so I know he's eating. Did you know that a tire on this car is $1,500? So I know when I go get a tire, they're eating. The insurance is ridiculous, so I know that my insurance agent, they're eating. You're right, I'm a selfish son of a bitch. I should go buy another car so more people can eat." That's what I think. So, what you believe to be true is true for you. Write this down. Not expecting your client can afford what you're selling is an insult. Not believing, not expecting your prospect, your buyer can afford what you're selling is an insult. Let them determine it. I don't know how many of you have purchased a home, or if all of you have purchased a home. For those of you that have purchased a home, do you remember your first home purchase? I do. I was in my mid-20s. I had a budget of about $300,000. I wanted to buy a house. The realtor in San Diego showed me, I trained him actually, showed me a bunch of properties. They weren't what I wanted. He said, "I have exactly what you want. Challenge is, it's not in your budget." I said, "Really? Let me see it anyway." He showed me a house with $600,000 budget at the time. $600,000. Guess what? That's the house I bought. Because we can always afford what we want. How many of you have ever bought something that was maybe above your budget? Maybe a car that was a little more expensive. Your wallet expanded to fill the bills, didn't it? You figured out a way to pay for that car that you love so much. What you believe to be true is true for you. I could take any one of you in this room and within 1 year make you a millionaire. How do I know that? Because I've been doing it for 40 years. I have made countless people millionaires by changing the programs of their brain. Francisco, you believe people just walk up to you and give you money?
Yes.
What's that?
Money grows on trees.
Money grows on trees. I don't know about that, except I do know that I asked who here believes people just walk up to them and give them money. I've been talking about my money all afternoon. I've been talking about velocity, that when we put money out into the marketplace, it echoes back, it comes back to us. Out of everybody in the room, you were the first hand to go up and almost the only hand to go up because you believe people just walk up to you and give you money for no reason whatsoever. If you believe people just give you money for no reason, I believe this money is yours. What do you believe? Yep, make them feel good.
All right.
How many of the rest of you believe people just walk up to you and give you money for no reason whatsoever? Some of you are learning. Some of you are going, "No, you just gave all your money to Francisco." I didn't give all of my money to Francisco. There's cash. There's cash. People say, "Marshall, why do you always throw the money to the pretty ladies in the room?" And I say, "Duh, it's my seminar, damn it. It's my seminar." The thing that I know is that, Francisco? Yes. Francisco may have never had anybody walk up to him and give him a bundle of cash like that. I promise you, people have tried. I'm attempting to do that right now for you. People ask me, what is the number one tool for building wealth? Without a question, number one tool for building wealth is learning influence. It's learning how to sell anybody, anything, at any time. I'm a stage hypnotist. I get people to sing like Madonna. I get them to strip like Chippendales dancers. I get them to do the craziest of things. Don't you think that I could program you to do the things that actually work? Yes. Turning Point does 3 things. The first thing it does is helps you identify how to reprogram your brain. How many of you would love to be able to get rid of tension in your life? How many of you would love to let go of anxieties? How many of you would love, if all Turning Point did was made you 10 times more certain and more confident, know that it would easily be worth $3,000. Put your hand way high. That certainty, that confidence that you approach other people with is telegraphed to them instantly and causes them to be charismatically drawn to you. I meant what I said. Sam was not joking. I've probably lost more money than most of you combined. I've also made more money than many of you combined. At least I know that for sure. Write this down. No risk, no goodies. What is risk? Doing things differently. What is risk? Putting yourself in a place to be rejected. I don't feel bad when somebody says no to me, for me. I feel bad for them. I don't feel bad when somebody doesn't buy from me. I feel bad for them. I realize that I must have mucked something up. I must have done something wrong because I know that this, whatever I'm selling, is good for them. Write this down. When you believe in what you're selling, you have a moral and ethical obligation to sell it. When you believe in what you're selling, you have a moral and ethical obligation to sell it. The reverse is also true. When you don't believe in what you're selling, you have a moral and ethical obligation to stop, even if it shifted midstream, right? I'm going to bring somebody up here. I'm going to give them a gift greater than anyone in the room. They're going to walk away with 10 times the level of confidence they had. They came back from lunch. It's going to be the beginning of a lifetime relationship. That person is going to be very grateful, and they're going to have the best sales year they have ever had. Who wants to be that one person? We get back what we send out. When you attend Turning Point, I'm going to teach you about charisma. I'm going to teach you about being able to walk into a room and turn on the personality without saying a word. I'm going to show you how to carry yourself that breeds certainty and confidence in other people. I'm going to show you how to be, all things being equal, the person that gets the deal every time. You're one of those people. And you knew I was going to pick you, didn't you? And I was talking to the woman beside you, actually. Yes, I was talking to you. What's your name?
Jessica Mashovic.
Jessica?
Yeah.
Are you the kind of a person that does what it takes to get what you want?
Yes.
As long as it's moral and ethical, and would you like to be more of that kind of a person? Make Jessica feel awesome.
Okay.
Come here. I'm going to take perfect care of you.
Okay.
I promise you're going to walk away from our time together better than when we met, and I guarantee you this is going to make a lasting, powerful, positive, productive impact on your life.
Okay.
Before I do that, I want to tell you one more story. There's a lot of reasons I'm here. There's a lot of reasons I've come out of retirement. Many years ago, I was performing in Las Vegas, and I was making about $80,000 a week, working 5 nights a week, about 90 minutes a night, doing what I loved. Who thinks that's a decent living? That's a decent living. Doing what you love, making $4 million a year. I went home, and there was a message on my answering machine from my little brother. He said, "There's been a tragedy in the family. Please give me a call." I didn't want to give him a call. That's part of the curse of having a big family. Stuff happens. I called him up, and he said, "Lelania is dead." Lelania was my 21-year-old niece, and she died of a heroin overdose. I was a cocaine addict in my late teens and early 20s, and I overcame my addiction through hypnosis. And people asked me, couldn't you help your niece overcome her heroin addiction? And I said, yeah, I could have, except she didn't want to listen to me. She was never a prophet in her own city. Part of the reason that the trainers and speakers and people that own companies bring people like me in is I may say something they've said 1,000 times, except it's not easy to hear it from them because you're too close. When I found out Lelania was addicted to heroin, I said, "Honey, let me help you." And I paid for rehab more than once. I remember one of the rehab programs was 30 days, and I paid for it up front, tens of thousands of dollars, and she broke out within 24 hours, no money back. She called me on the phone a week later and said, "Uncle Marshall, I'm sorry. Would you please pay for one more rehab?" I didn't know what to do. I figured you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. So I thought maybe tough love would work. And I said, "No, Laney, I'm not going to pay for another rehab. I'll do exactly what I did for me." I called up everybody who sold me drugs. I said, "If you ever sell me drugs again, I'll turn you into the police. Because if I couldn't get them, I couldn't do them." "Oh, no, Uncle Marshall, don't do that." A week later, I got a call from my little brother. Lelania's dead. I'm rich. I'm rich. Thank you, God. How many of you believe I wish I'd have paid for one more rehab? One more. 1,000 more. Whatever it takes. No $120,000 watch or $50 million jet or $10 million house is going to matter in the end. There's only one thing that matters. We matter. Lelania mattered. You matter. Your life's in my hands right now, and I don't take that lightly. This is not just some seminar or some presentation that I'm doing in the middle of the desert. I know that I am in a position right now to make your life amazing, and I want that for you, even more than you might even know is possible. When Laney died, I broke things, and I was angry. I've always loved God, and I was so angry at God. And at the end of all my anger and all my grief, I finally settled down, and I said, "What do you want from me?" And God said, "I gave you great gifts. Not just to be a performer in Las Vegas, no insult to anybody that is, but I gave you greater gifts than that. I gave you gifts to help people change their lives." And I always say God is odd because this work is so important to me. This time of us together, and like I said, I want this to be the beginning of a lifetime relationship. It's so important to me. I brought with me a second fire-eating torch just for you.
Okay.
And I'm not going to ask you to eat fire.
Okay.
And it's Jessica, correct?
Yeah.
Jessica, I'm not going to ask you to eat fire. What I want you to do is I'm going to have you act as if you've eaten fire 1,000 times. I'm going to walk you through the process, and I'm not going to ask you to eat fire. I just want you to do it without the flame. And imagine the flame's already there. Fair enough? First thing I want you to do is I want you to put your foot down, and I want you to say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Nice energy, very good. What's the reason I have you say unstoppable?
Confidence.
Because it's better than saying, oh crap. Yes, absolutely. Next thing I want you to do, Jessica, I want you to imagine the flame is already there, see that it's already there, and I want you to say the word yes.
Yes.
We can never get more in our life by saying no. We can only hold a position. The only way we can advance is we say yes. Successful people say yes before we know how to do what we're setting out to do. We just say yes, and we figure out how to do it. So put your foot down, say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Imagine the flame is already there, say yes.
Yes.
Next thing I want you to do is to lick your lips. Just lick your lips, get them wet. Get them a little wetter. Now look this way, and then lick them really slow.
Oh my God.
That was for me. No, don't call me that. Call me JC. We're friends. We're good. Next thing I want you to do is to breathe in deeply and hold your breath. Breathe in. Breathe in. Hold your breath. 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 Now exhale. That's it. Jessica, that's the secret to fire eating. As long as your lungs are filled, there's no way to breathe in smoke or flame. You're totally safe. Kind of like when you master the skills of influence, when you know you can sell anyone anything, you walk into the circumstance in a completely different frame of mind. There's no intimidation. There's no insecurity. You walk in because you own the room. That's it. That's exactly it. Put your foot down. Say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Imagine the flame is there. Say yes.
Yes.
Lick your lips. Breathe in deeply. Hold your breath. Tip your head back. Put the torch all the way in your mouth. Close your lips. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Open your mouth. Bring it out. Say power.
Power.
Perfect form. Perfect form. I have you close your lips and I have you hold it for 3 seconds, Jessica, because it takes 2 things for a flame to burn. It takes fuel and oxygen, you bet. So when you close your lips, it cuts off the oxygen of the flame and it puts it right out.
Got it.
Now, one of the things I know is that sometimes people don't close their lips and it doesn't go out, or they close their lips, they don't hold it for 3 seconds, and rather than going out, you build up gas in your mouth, and when you open your mouth, you actually spew out like a 12-foot flame, which is really funny for the people 14 feet away and further. So close your mouth. Oftentimes, the distinction between success and failure is some people just don't know when to shut their mouth. Put your foot down, say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Imagine the flame is there, say yes.
Yes.
Lick your lips. Breathe in deeply, hold your breath. All the way in, nice form. Hold it, hold it, hold it, open your mouth. Bring it out, say power.
Power.
Put your foot down, say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Imagine it's there, say yes.
Yes.
Lick your lips. Breathe in deeply, hold your breath. All the way in, close your lips, perfect form. Open your mouth, bring it out, say power.
Power.
Jessica, what do you suppose is the reason I have you say the word power every time you eat fire?
So I feel confident.
It's a mind trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Pavlovian bell.
Yeah.
Next week, next month, sometime in the future, you're going to have a multi-million-dollar deal or opportunity closing. And the fear is going to come up, because it does. And your brain's going to say, power. And your mind's going to say, I ate fire in Palm Springs. I'm closing this deal. It's done already. Okay. Now, I will tell you, Jessica, there's a big distinction between being a fire stick holder and commanding me to light it up and being a fire eater. I will tell you, look at me for a second, every single person who's ever commanded me to light it up now has thanked me later on. And over 1 million people later, every last one of them safe, every last one of them has thanked me. What would you like me to do right now?
Light that baby up.
You got it. Jessica, you are about to get a standing ovation from the best looking, smartest people in the room. All the dumb, ugly ones will just sit there. Put your foot down, say unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Imagine it's there, say yes.
Yes.
Lick your lips. Breathe in deeply, hold your breath. Close your mouth, hold it, hold it. Open your mouth, bring it out, say power. Get up. Get up. This is your peer. Get up, get up, get up. Bravo, good job. Jesse,
I have hair.
what's
I'm
that?
glad I have my hair.
I'm glad you have hair too. What's that about?
Well, you kept grabbing it and pulling it back.
It's just a natural response, forgive me. Shall we continue? Or what you believe to be true is true for you. What you expect tends to occur. When you woke up this morning, did you say, today I'm going to eat fire?
Not particularly.
Not particularly. And yet, here's the big question. Was it easier than you were making it in your brain?
Absolutely.
Way easier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How many of you believe you may be making things way harder than they need to be? How many of you would love some assistance to unlock that way of making it easier, communicating more powerfully, not just to the outside world, also to yourself, so this can be your first million or your best millions a year? Who wants that? Say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What you believe to be true is true for you. What you expect tends to occur. I want you to believe they're going to give you a huge round of applause and expect them to start right now. Do you like hugs? Me too. God bless you.